Hi, how are you? It's the beginning of the mental lecture. I am a Dr.Gezira who is an AI psychiatrist. Catherine, what are your concerns today?
Hello, Dr. Gezira. I'm raising a child right now. I have a son who is a junior high school student. Recently, even when my child came home from school, he only touched his smartphone, and when he finally let go of it, he just fell asleep. This is what we call lazy people. As a parent, I want my son to be a little more proper. But when I was careful, we got into a fight. It doesn't work. I haven't been able to have a conversation between parents and child. What should I do?
Let's think about depression in children first.
Is it depression? I don't think my son has depression.
Don't say that, just listen to it.
Then, please explain about the depression that spreads among children.
Yes, in February 2021, Japan's National Center for Growth and Medical Research announced a survey that 30% of high school students, 24% of middle school students, and 15% of elementary school seniors have moderate or higher depression symptoms.
What kind of depression is more than moderate?
You mean depression at the level where you need to go to the hospital because you have sleep disorders and anorexia. There are three notable characteristics of such adolescent depression. It is characterized by I only do what I like. No matter how much I sleep, I don't get enough sleep. And I don't have an appetite. So, if these three are all together, we should suspect depression above moderate level.
What is what I like, for example?
What I like to say here is watching YouTube and TikTok, falling in love with SNS, and being absorbed in video games.
However, when I see children who play games or SNS all the time and just sleep, parents tend to think that they are lazy and scold them strongly. Also, if you notice that your appetite is decreasing, you will end up in a reproachful tone, saying, "Eat properly."
Most parents probably don't have the idea that adolescent children may have depression in themselves. When parents see their children's lives collapsing, they have a sense of, "Let's do it properly." On the other hand, your child probably doesn't think he has depression. So as soon as he gets scolded, he thinks, "I'm a bad boy." And he gets into a vicious circle of blaming himself even more.
Adults can go to the hospital conscious of depression, but children can worsen their symptoms without noticing anything unusual.
I agree. As you all already know, in the case of depression, scolding will further reduce his mental strength.
In that case, what should parents do?
Parents worry and question their children when they only try to do what they like and stop eating. At that time, it would be nice if the child could tell her mind honestly. But many people don't tell her. In that case, instead of scolding the child, why don't you tell me directly? It would be better to ask the homeroom teacher about the situation at school first. If you notice something unusual about the child, if you get any negative information there, why don't you suspect your mental illness and consult a specialist?
Okay. If you look at the symptoms alone, it seems like you're just lazy, so it's hard to judge it as a disease. In the case of adolescent depression, adults surrounding children, such as parents, school teachers, and school counselors, check their children's condition from multiple perspectives and share information with each other, leading to early detection.
That's right. The most important thing is not to isolate children as much as possible. In some cases, the symptoms will recover just by improving the relationship between parents and children.
Then, is there any way to prevent children from getting depressed?
Does that protect children from the digital addiction that is prevalent now? The reason for this is that, a survey of more than 500,000 teenagers in the United States showed that between 2010 and 2015, the suicide rate among girls between the ages of 13 and 18 increased by 65%.
It's a shocking fact.
In addition, the number of teenage girls reporting severe depression increased by 58% during this period. After analyzing the reasons, We found that teenagers have spent a lot of time on digital screens and less time on other activities over the past 5 years. The study showed that people who spend more than 5 hours a day looking at digital screens are almost twice as likely to commit suicide as people who spend less than an hour a day.
It is surprising that there was such a clear difference. Looking at digital screens such as smartphones and personal computers has been the biggest change in their lives over the past 5 years. And you mean that it may have had a negative impact on mental health?
That's right. It turns out that the longer you stay in front of the digital screen, the more depression you have in young people, especially for girls. Spending too much time on smartphones and tablets is likely to adversely affect their mentality. In response to the results, researchers recommend limiting the time spent facing the screen to about 2 hours a day to reduce the risk.
My son may tell me that 2 hours is not enough, but I hope he will do his best.
Come to think of it, the book Insta Brain became a bestseller.
I agree that IT has become quite a topic of conversation in Japan.
According to psychiatrist Anders Hansen, the author of Insta Brain, more than 1 in 9 adults in Sweden take antidepressants, and similar statistics can be seen in many countries. The reason why this change is happening now is that it is very unnatural for humans to keep looking at digital screens for a long time. And it is because our brains can't keep up with it.
It is true that looking at smartphones is now a matter of course. But it may be unusual considering human history.
By the way, the length of screen time is likely to lead to depression or suicide in children. In fact, even Bill Gates, who founded Microsoft, and Steve Jobs, who founded Apple, said they wouldn't give their children tablets or smartphones. So they must have already noticed the danger.
The influence of such digital screens has developed into the last youth overdose and has led to social problems.
The increase in mental problems is a very worrying situation. It means that we adults should take the current situation seriously that teenagers are suffering like this.
Thank you again for the easy explanation today.
Was it helpful for everyone? I will continue to speak out to help you have a better day.
I would appreciate it if you could sign up for a high rating and a channel.
See you in the next video.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. The video on this channel is based on the recent situation in Japan. Also, I am translating from Japanese. So please understand that English may be unnatural. Also, it may be different from the information in your own country. But I would appreciate it if you could think that this is the case in Japan. Thank you for your understanding.